Hi everyone, I'm James. This is a quick follow-up video from yesterday's live stream, which I'd encourage you to watch. So I'm linking it at the end of this video. So when this video ends, just click on the following video and go and check out the live stream. I really just wanted to follow up on a couple of things. First of all, natural gas and oil, considering what's going on in Iran right now and the moves on the market last night. You can see on natural gas we gapped up over the wedge top like I suggested we might. Check out the live stream at the end. We're also above the 20 and the 50 period moving averages now on the 4-hour chart and moving up into the point of control and obvious resistance at $3. Just because it's a round number, it doesn't mean that the price will stop there. And often it doesn't actually. Often the round numbers are completely ignored. Now, we've still got all these weekend gaps above us, and the top of the first one is at 3.17, and the top of the second one is at 3.37. That's this one on the left-hand side. And there's another one actually above that too, and a roll gap. So lots of gaps above us and lots of support below us. I believe that this is the bottom for now. Well, I hope it is anyway. And I'm long from pretty much near the bottom and looking to exit. And as I said in the live stream, my first target is 3.75, and that's this green line in the center of your page, and actually the point of control on the larger picture. So to get there, we're going to have to close two gaps, get above the 200 and the 100 period moving averages, and get up to the largest point of control, more or less, up here, just around 375, which is a very key level on natural gas charts always. And whenever we're in and around the 375 level, the price tends to be attracted to it like a price magnet. So it looks like we're just starting off now, and on the day chart, it all looks quite good. And you can see how we broke out of the wedge. We formed a little gap, which has been closed overnight. And we've got the 20 period moving average on the day chart and the swing high, which we've got to get through first of all, and then up to 375, the 50-day moving average, and closing that gap in the middle of the page. Notice that 375 is at the bottom of the next gap over here, which means we might need to get at the top of that gap at about 387. Anyway, so far so good, and I suppose there was some influence on blockages in the Straits of Hormuz, which I think is now resolved. Considering that 20% of the world's shipping goes through those straits, it's a pretty big deal. But I think the Iranian Navy has been sunk completely, at least those in base, in port, and any mines that may have been scattered around the Gulf has probably been dealt with. It's very important to the US and the rest of the world, but particularly Donald Trump, that oil prices don't go up and that those straits are kept clear. Not only for trade, but for his own political future, I would imagine. So all good on natural gas the way it stands at the moment. Of course, things can change very quickly. And then oil, we're also now just got short on. We got to the top of this range, which I've now called probably the sort of trading range for the next year in 2026. Roughly between about $75 and $55. That's this double bottom over here, which we did try to break down through quite recently, but failed to do so, now forming a triple bottom. We've now rallied up to what I think is the top of the range and the next market structure break. And even though we've gone through the channel top, it's not all that serious. We might even have to have spikes up into about $78 or just below $80 up into this swing high and the next order block. But the way things are moving in the Middle East and the way the news reports are coming out, I think it's less likely, but still quite possible that we'll get much higher prices in oil. So for now, I'm short. I took a 10%, very tiny position, short at that top there, looking for this to move down. And when we do get back down to that orange arrow, I'll take the long side off at break even. I'll keep that short on from the top, and I'll have those shorts on from slightly lower down. So that's oil and gas. And I think so basically natural gas up, oil down. And then precious metals haven't moved. I pointed out on X a few hours ago that we have hanging men on both gold and silver now. And we're also approaching technical resistance levels, Fibonacci levels, channel tops, etc. And we may be looking for this to potentially stall or even go short. I don't have any positions on gold. I'm fully hedged on silver, but I am long on copper. Bitcoin holding up quite well over the weekend, and I commented on this quite extensively in the live stream. And if you're into Bitcoin and trading cryptocurrencies, I suggest you have a look at that, because I think I've found some pretty important clues in the structure that we're forming now to suggest that we might actually be bullish rather than bearish. My overall idea is that we still have to get back down into the 50s and maybe even the 40s, but I'm actually long from within this bull, what I think is a bull flag. I've also got longs higher up, which are all hedged. But the way this looks is okay, but not so much on this chart, which is at the Coinbase spot price. But when you look at the futures here on the CME, it looks much more positive. And once again, I covered this in extenso in the live stream, so go and check that out, link at the end. We've broken out of the bull flag in this case, slightly different pricing. It's pretty difficult to trade if you're confused between the futures and the spot. Breaking out, holding above the top of the bull flag channel line for 4 days in a row now, and sort of trying to bounce out today. If we look at the 4-hour chart, trying to get up, right? Get up through those moving averages and hold above the channel top. And if we do that successfully, I might add some more size on here and look for us to get up through the empty zone, this orange zone, and close the CME gap in the process. And once we get up to about 85 or 84, that's when the trouble begins. We've got to get through the empty zone. I think it'll slice through there if we do get a wiggle on. And in this zone here, it's going to be much more difficult to get through. And then, of course, right at the top here. So 2 big points of control on Bitcoin. But so far, quite good, but only when you look at the futures chart. So the jury's still out. NASDAQ and S&P dropped violently on the news as soon as the market opened on Sunday night, bouncing back quite sharply just in the last hour or two. As news filters through from the war and what's going on there, good news, bad news, optimism, pessimism, all flowing around in different amounts, and they will affect the market as they flow. The psychology of war is pretty interesting. So bouncing out a little bit. Let's see how we go. I'm not going to say anything about these. We've got 3-4 hours until the market opens, and anything can happen in Iran, and anything can happen in the minds of the market traders. Dollar spiked up sharply. I didn't expect that. I thought it would spike down initially, but it did spike up. So we got hedged. I've got short positions from just under this flat top from the ascending triangle. We only know it's an ascending triangle now that it's broken out, because it may have just flopped down somewhere in the process of building it, but now we've broken out through the top, but only to the 200 and 100 period moving averages here on the day chart, and we'll have to see what happens. A big spike, and we've collapsed back down again. I am hedged, but I'm happy to unhedge and get short again if need be. Notice that the RSI is still not quite overbought. Maybe we need to fiddle around at the top a little bit longer. I'm not going to talk about stock names, considering what I just said about NASDAQ, S&P. I'm long NASDAQ, S&P, and German 30, and quite a lot of stock names in varying amounts. We talked about gold and silver with these hanging men. We've talked about oil, and we've talked about natural gas. I'm still long on uranium, looking to get long on lithium. And on this page, you can see Bitcoin dominance and Bitcoin against gold slumping down. We want Bitcoin dominance to break down through this low and get moving down for those altcoins to get a bit of a rally on. So that's it, folks. Have a great trading day. Hope you found this quick update useful, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. If you want to make sure that you don't miss tomorrow's video, click the subscribe button and click the button that looks like a bell. That's the notification bell. If you click that bell, every time I post something up on YouTube, you'll get an alert on your phone or in your email, so you won't miss all the updates. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.
Blue sky, green candles, hands off, let it handle. Better look, better good, out bush chasing that cud. I'm swing trading in the outback. Made top to glow by the cattle gate. Ride that way, then I let it fade. In the dust, I'ma swing upgrade. From Melbourne streets to the desert plain. Snag on the Barbie, checking gains. If it runs too hard, I'll take my slide. Too easy, I'm out at the perfect.